welcome. Welcome to this month's webinar. Today we talk about in-store insights delivered by IoT technology, and we very much talk around analytics in in-store fashion retail. My name is Uwe Hennig. I'm the CEO of Detego. I'm very glad that this time this is a joint webinar from Detego and Intel, and I'm happy to announce the second speaker, who is Matt Ward, EMEA IoT Retail Sales Director of Intel. Before we go into the agenda of today, some logistics around, but people listening to our webinar regular know that this presentation will be recorded, so it will be available for later second view on our website. For questions in GoToWebinar, there is a chat function, and we have reserved some time that you can ask all the questions you are having. We are happy to answer all these questions. What do we have prepared for you today? We want to talk about why is it important to look on in-store analytics, why does in-store matters, what's around this IoT, Internet of the Things in retail. You will see that the market is ready for transformation, and then later on we want to look into some in-store KPIs that technology is delivering, and at the end of the day we talk around putting the consumer in the middle, because what we see is that consumer-centric applications is key to win the customer's heart. With this, I'm very happy to hand over now to my colleague from Intel, to Matt Ward.
Thanks, Uwe, and again, thanks for the opportunity to co-present today. So I want to step back and really explain why Intel's responsive retail platform, we hope, will answer some of the industry challenges that we hear from retailers today. And if I start with giving an example of maybe 100 years ago in bricks and mortar stores, the stores were fairly small, they were fairly personalized, because the consumer is often known by the shopkeeper. You could tailor that experience to that individual and almost befit the store as you see fit. And in the 60s, you really saw that some of the personalization be removed from that experience through some of the supply chain efficiencies, the mass economies of scale, and some of the larger shops coming into play. And I think you also saw a transition with e-commerce, so the ability to gain customer insights through data online. So surfing on websites, you were able to understand what the consumer was interested in and begin to tailor that performance, start to bring back some of that personalization, but keep the economies of scale. And what we're looking to do in delivery of the responsive retail platform is almost consolidate both the mass efficiency opportunities, but also deliver that personalized experience both online, but now in store as well. And it's really about the delivery through optimizing real-time data analytics and providing value that can be managed and then delivered through the consumer experience of your consumers of the future. And it's really about gaining that brand affinity. So if a number of conversations with some key retail partners, and I've kind of consolidated 3 of the industry challenges that we feel we could support retailers with in overcoming some of those challenges. And if you think of customer engagement, first of all, it's really about how you differentiate and how you deliver that brand affinity to retailers, how you delight them in store, how you provide them different opportunities to experience the brand, experience the product, and really engage and as I said, build that affinity with the brand. And if you also think about managing human capital, you know, the minimum wages are going up, and so how do you maximize whilst benefit the human capital, both in terms of the consumer, but also potentially through operational excellence? And a good example is maybe reducing some of the administrative burden through some of the technologies that we'll talk of later, and really drive some upsell and cross-sell opportunities through benefiting the store associates. Good example today, if you look online and walk through a store, it's often that today you become more of an expert than that store associate themselves. So how can technology really help inform and then manage through the store associates today and drive up value and in turn decrease cost? And then finally, that age-old problem in the industry around inventory accuracy, that $1 trillion problem. many of the questions we ask, if you had the right product in the right place at the right time, would you sell more? Well, the answer is pretty much yes in most cases. And what we're providing with the help of our partners is really about delivering a fixed reader infrastructure that has real-time analytics to really understanding where that inventory is and really provide the operation and the operational excellence around some of that infrastructure. So in terms of clarity and actions, number of points here just to call out. How do you deliver real-time actionable alerts? How do you streamline and access the variety of data that you can gather? And I think the responsive retail platform really helps to eliminate some of the islands of technology through the unified gateway. And it's really about reducing the multi aspects here of the different islands of technology and really providing operational excellence around this through the simplification of the sensor management, and we can begin to fuse both the digital and the physical retail experience in store.
Well, that's very interesting. Thank you very much, Matt. So we talk about the combination of the physical store and the new digital world, what we are learning here, what Intel is providing with the platform. And so let's take a look what I call where the deal happens. Interesting is, if you follow the latest studies from Forrester and KPMG research, in retail, in fashion retail, 80% of the revenue is still delivered via a physical store. Because at the end of the day, the consumer loves to go to a store, the consumer loves to touch stuff, they want to put it on. So they're all ending up in a store, and isn't that characteristic that retailers still call their store their offline business? In this today online world, we talk about a platform, we talk about Internet of Things, everybody's mobile all the time. What we see is that putting the consumer in the middle, I think, is key. So on this slide we see what is the consumer demand, and it's very basic, it's very easy. The consumer is coming to a store or is surfing on his couch, on his tablet. It's around item availability, isn't it? When you want to buy something, so you surf in the evening on your tablet PC, and well, I'm downtown tomorrow, so can I pick it up in that store? Can I go to that store and try it on? So a real-time item availability check is, at the end of the day, what the consumer is demanding. And if the store is providing, yes, we have it in place, you want to reserve it. The consumer's telling us that they don't want to walk to that store, have done a reservation, and then nobody can find the item. And for the retailers on this call, I think it's very clear. Once you commit to the customer and then you're not delivering on that commitment, we don't think that the customer will use this second time. I think they will talk to their friends about the service and that it didn't work. So it's all around. The consumer demand is availability check and exactly, Matt, what you were talking about, having the right product in the right moment in time in front of the right customer. And then the next thing is, because there are so many stores on the high street, is outstanding in-store services. So that's a consumer demand. What we are seeing is that today's in-store KPIs, and look on the left on the demand, is not really matching it. I mean, retailers, what they're having is sellout reports, and the POS system's providing that, and the ERP system as well. It's around revenue per day, revenue per week, revenue per campaign, per article, per product group, whatever. But it's a report that you're taking after a period, after a week, after a month, after a collection ends, whatever. You find results like the typical basket size and these things. And then you may have people counting systems and footfall measurement, but how good is that information that I know last week Wednesday the revenue of that store was that amount, and we got 225 people in that store. This data at the end is not telling me a lot. And thinking on the consumer demand, who wants to be in the middle, item availability check, the summary is there is no real-time analytics on how is the consumer engaging with the merchandise, and that is key for the future application. So let's look on some new KPIs. This platform Matt was describing is delivering, and it's the basic stuff, but this is where the value sits. The first thing is we can measure in real time on item level on each location, and location can be a back store of a store, can be the front store, can be a franchise store, can be a wholesale location, can be the supply chain, the warehouse, the distribution center, can be somewhere in between on a truck from a carrier. So the availability on item level in real time is available now. So how good is that, that I can go back to my customer and say, dear Mr. Customer, we don't have it in this store now, this at moment in time, but we have it in another store around the corner. Should I reserve it online for you? Or we can say it has left the distribution center. We know it's on the way. Typically the truck comes at 10 in the morning, so we will have it tomorrow morning for you. We can see the availability in the back room. Very often retailers telling us that they could sell more, but the replenishment back store, front store, it's only done once per day, maybe in the morning, taking a sellout report from last day POS sellout and say, okay, this is what we need to replenish. But people that are using these real-time data, what we see is they can measure the replenishment performance in real time. So they know exactly when an item was sold and it just has left the store, that we have enough in the back room, but exactly this style, this color, this size is not on the shelf, so we replenish it from the back room immediately. So this is the value IoTs or sensor platforms in a retail environment are delivering. Interesting KPI, and Matt, you and I, we have spoken about this the last weeks, is measuring the effectiveness of a marketing campaign. So the combination of the cameras in the platform and with RFID, we know exactly from the latest marketing campaign which aisle is it located in the store, what shelf is it sitting on. We can measure the footfall in front of this of this shelf. We see what items moving from the shelf into the fitting room. So really, how effective is this marketing campaign? What of these items are really moving then from the fitting room to the point of sale? And let's be honest, when a consumer is taking an item to the fitting room, this is almost a 90% done deal. They like the stuff, they want to put it on, so why not offering him the best service once he's in the fitting room anyway? And with this data, you can, with interactive screens, you can show the consumer. We also have other articles that are a good combination to this. You can offer different sizes. You can bring a service person direct to him. So the interaction the consumer is demanding, remember the slide before, he wants to have the same services like you know from your web sale, is now available in the store.
Yeah, no, thanks, Uwe. I think absolutely, and to reiterate Uwe's point, this is a graphic that really provides detail around the responsive retail platform. As you can see on this diagram, it's really the sensors, the RFID sensors itself being tagged by a fixed reader, and the multiple of those readers are really aggregated by the gateway at the edge, and that can provide real-time analytics at the edge, and that's really helpful for maybe a store environment. But when you start to aggregate as well a number of stores, or maybe by country or region or whatever you see fit, this is where the additional power of the cloud platform comes in, the analytics in the cloud as well. So we have both an edge device that has local analytics and also a mechanism to work within the cloud, and again through multiple partners. The point to note as well from the RFID sensor that you can see on this screen, we're also looking at, as you said, Uwe, aggregating and incorporating video from the second half of this year. So you have now a fixed reader environment that comes with also cameras that you can start to see as well as hear in and around the store, the start of that aggregation of the data analytics. So to continue to kind of address the retail use cases, we're listening to the market, we're listening to our partners most importantly and our customers, and we feel with the responsive retail platform we can address a variety of these retail use cases. Inventory management we've discussed in part today. How do you deliver a tailored, localized performance? How do you understand and tailor that personalized message in store real time? How do you get to dynamic pricing? How do you understand some of the merchandising decisions, again, real time? In-store traffic, now with video analytics. How can you track? What trends can you see? How are you going to deliver a best-in-class experience and potentially reduce costs as a result of this information that's coming available? Digital signage, how are you going to deliver that in-store experience in an innovative, disruptive way? And then also from an organizational point, how do you have maximum employee engagement? and then maybe even manage some of that environment management in and around the store. So a variety of use cases that, as I mentioned earlier, start to eliminate these islands of technology and really start to bring that into a converged, unified platform. And that's essentially what this is. It's an IoT platform that's really looking to address some of those retail needs.
Well, thanks, Matt. I can already see some questions in the chat where people are asking, so yeah, that sounds brilliant, but how to start this looked like a very complex project, and we will come to questions later on. And it's like every project, what we are recommending is really to get started with a lean start. That means accuracy of stock in the systems, and stock availability is key. So not trying to do everything. Our experience having hundreds of stores distributed now with such a solution is, as first thing is get the stock accuracy level to a level of 95, 96, 97%. The average in the industry, what analysts are talking, is around 68 to 72%. You can't build perfect services on an accuracy level of 70%. When you, from 30% of your stock, you don't know if it's really available in that store, you better don't commit it to a client. So what our suggestion is that's the best practice is we start with inventory accuracy, bringing that to all the back-end systems, and then this is a fundament for adding new services like all the omni-channel stuff. We haven't even talked about, Matt. Click and reserve, click and collect, ship from store. People want to do online reservations, the endless aisle. And then I'm seeing already the IT people in the call asking, yeah, but that's a lot of integration efforts. Many of the retailers having big IT departments, and we still see a lot of self-made ERP systems deployed. So what we have done is, additional to this very lean application where you can actually use a standard RFID handheld or smartphone with a Bluetooth RFID reader running your stock stuff in the retail sensor platform from Intel in the ceiling, using our open API. So we're giving, at the end of the day, the open API plus an SDK to the IT department, and you can use the data that is provided by the Intel platform in the cloud and run your own analytics on it and bring it to your backend systems. So that's an easy start, and what we see what people are doing is say let's start it in one store, 2, 3 stores for a while, and immediately we see the effect of having accurate data in the system provides a lot of future value using that data. And it's ending up, we build into the system standard connectors to backend systems like SAP and others, so plug into the ERP system, to the POS systems. This is how we would start it. So it's basic fundament, stock accuracy, use the open API and the SDK, develop your own application, or use our standard connectors, plugging in the Intel platform into your backend systems. So this is where we are at the moment. Let's look. There are some questions in the chat, and one question is somebody's asking. Let me move to the chat function here. Why is Intel working with a partner like Detego on this thing? Matt, I need to hand over this.
All right, thanks, Uwe. So I think where Intel adds value firstly is around the connection and the delivery. So connected, managed, and secured environments that we create as a platform. I think as I mentioned earlier, it's really important to address this to answer industry challenges. And one of the reasons why we're working with Detego is the specialism that you create in that fashion retail environment. So creating a platform with disruptive specialists, solution providers like a Detego really helps align and answer the questions, most importantly at that end customer level. So as an ingredient supplier that Intel is, it's really important that we work with our ecosystem to create solutions that really answer the questions that the end customers and the brands are asking a collection to answer.
Okay, thank you, Matt. There is another question in the chat that's interesting. Somebody's saying RFID is around long time. Is it still expensive? I think we have this question in each webinar we are running every 8 weeks, and but I like that question. Yes, RFID is around the corner for a long time, and some of you may remember things like the Metro Future Store initiative and a lot of innovation stores. But it is what happened is with all technologies, the performance increased heavily. the prices for these tags went down dramatically. Just for information, I know there are some of the tech specialists on the call as well. Last year in 2016 have been already 3.5 billion RFID tags used just in fashion retail. And in Europe there are some of the big fashion vendors using RFID along the whole supply chain in all stores. And I think we all know that they don't use this and investing into these tags where the prices are low anyway, when the technology wouldn't work. So we see a big increase in, especially in fashion retail, on RFID, because when you know where your inventory is, you can commit to your end customer that he can buy it. And at the end of the day, all these things are done just to say yes to the customer. That is what we are seeing. But I see there is another question coming in on again on the integration part. How complex is back-end system integration like SAP? That's another a good question, and I know there are people from SAP on the call. We have built the Tego software ready on SAP HANA Cloud Platform, so there was a proof of concept. So that's delivered, that's done, and so it runs on SAP. It's already deployed in SAP environment. But Matt, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to add that part of the ecosystem, SAP are a key partner to Intel as well, and I think the value for all three parties to Tego, SAP and Intel is that we're delivering a best-in-class experience to end customers and answering some of those industry challenges.
Thanks. So I think we're getting to the end. Some takeaways and the outlook, what's coming next on webinars. I think it's very clear, and we all know that because at the end of the day we're also all shoppers. The deal still happens in the store. Yes, e-commerce is growing very much, and we're all surfing online and. But at the end of the day, in fashion retail, the business is happening in the store. So the store is really important, and our advice is don't treat it as an offline store, make it online. And we think the Intel Retail platform is the key platform to get the store online, because we are reading the RFID text, we see the merchandise flow with the cameras, we know the consumer's preferences, we can analyze what is going on in the fitting room. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of new in-store KPIs that this technology and the software is delivering at the end of the day to say yes to the customer again, and that's what we all want to do. I want to thank you very much for this time webinar. The next one will be in April. We invite you. It will be again around fashion retail and all the value technologies driving the business. Thank you very much for your participation.